Oh my god, it's...
What's up, people of the internet? My name is Hondro, and today we've got some very kind of scary and disturbing news in regards to trading. So I've been going over all the pictures that are available on the Pokemon Go blog website, PokemonGoLive.com, and trading doesn't seem to be all that great. If you look here at the very first trading image that is available, it's of this Pikachu. So you can see that this is a currently 427 CP Pikachu with an HP of 47. When you're going to trade that Pikachu, the CP range goes from what it currently is of 427 all the way down to 343. And the HP ranges from its current rate of 47 all the way down to 42 HP. Now, what does that mean in terms of the IV? So I did some investigating and I used the site that I always use to check IVs. That's PokeAssistant.com. And when you plug the values for that 427 HP 47 Pikachu into Pokeassistant, it is a level 20 Pokemon and it is anywhere from 82% down to a 78% IV currently. So now when you look over at the trading values, that means when you trade a Pokemon, the value IVs of it will not go up because the high end of that trading is 427, which what it is currently at. So that means you're not going to get any better than what the Pokemon currently is. And it also means that the Pokemon will more likely get much worse. So with that range in mind, if we plug in the exact same numbers, so if we plug in that the low end values, the 343 and the 42, you end up with an abysmal stat range. The one that stands out here, so it has to be, we already know this Pikachu is a level 20. So we know it's not any of those level 19 values that are like the top 5 up there. And it's pretty unlikely that it is that 031 value that's 8.9% IV. The most likely scenario is that it's that bottom row where it drops the values all the way down to 1 point each out of a possible 15 for IVs. So it takes this level 20 Pikachu, takes it anywhere from 82%, and it can go all the way down to an abysmal 6.7% IV. That is bad. But wait, it doesn't get any better because it's not just this image. So there are several other images on the site and I did the same thing, plugged in the same values for all of them. And it does not get better, trust me. So it's safe to assume that when you're trading a Pokemon, it will never get any better than the current value of IVs that it currently is. So 427 and 47 are actually the cap on what that Pokemon can possibly be. So when we pull up the next image on the site, you can see that we are trading that 427 and 47 Pikachu, a Squirtle that is 431 CP and has an HP of 58. When you plug the Squirtle's values into the IV checker, it's again a level 20 Pokemon and its IV ranges, because we don't know if it has attack, defense, or HP. So we don't know its exact stats, so that's why there's a slight range here. But the range goes from 76% all the way down to a 67% Pokemon as far as IV goes. And that's just the starting point. Then when traded, it can drop all the way down to 354 CP and 53 HP. When you plug in those values again, you get the exact same result that we did on Pikachu, where it goes all the way down to a level 20 with 111 as far as stats across the board. So it goes back down all the way to 6.7%. So your ranges, if you are, and this is for beginner trades, so it's important to see that this range is for people that are good friends. So that is the very first stage of friendship. But your Pokemon, when traded, can drop all the way from as high as, I'm guessing, 100% IV, because they don't show one in the example, but each example has the ability to drop all the way down to a 6.7% IV with 111 stats across the board. That is terrible. I cannot recommend enough to wait to see exactly how this trading system works before you trade any Pokemon. If you have good IV Pokemon or someone's offering you a good IV Pokemon, I would highly suggest not making that trade until much later into the cycle. So now you might be asking, well, what about those legendary Pokemon trades that they show in the other images? Okay, great. Let's take a look at those. Okay, so now on this image, again, we see two different trainers that are good friends. So that means they just became friends and they're attempting to trade two legendary Pokemon. You are attempting to trade an Articuno and the person you're trading with is sending you a Moltres. What's interesting here is currently up to this point in the game, the worst possible Moltres and Articuno you could get would be a 66.7 IV Pokemon. That is the absolute worst stats that any of the legendaries can have because you can only get them from raids or from field research. So when you plug in Moltres stats, the one being traded to you is a 1774 and it has 115 HP. At level 20, this one has to be one that is a 66.7. So this is already the very worst Moltres you could possibly get from a raid or from field research. So this is someone that's totally trolling you and trading a absolute garbage Moltres. Now, the crazy thing is that is the best that Moltres can possibly be when it's traded to you. So that means it only gets worse when traded. It goes all the way down to 1645 and 108 HP, which means it goes all the way down again to a 6.7% on this trade. So if you are only good friends with somebody, that means the Pokemon when traded is going to go from the highest point at which it currently is for IVs, which in this case is 67%, and when traded to you can go all the way down to 6.7% with 1 stats across the board. That is the worst possible scenario for legendaries because you are getting a garbage tier legendary at that point. And for 1,000,000 Stardust to make this trade, you'd have to be insane to do this. Like literally you'd have to be, I don't know, like that is such a bad deal, it's laughable. Now, when we look at Articuno's stats, it's the same thing, except for this one's even worse somehow. The only thing I can figure is that this Articuno had already been traded by these accounts that they set up, because the highest possible the IVs on this Articuno can even be is an abysmal 44%. So that's not even possible. So clearly when they were doing testing, this was an Articuno that had already been traded and its IV had been worsened. So you punch in the 1531 CP and 109 for where it's at now, and it at highest is 44.4%. That is garbage. Then when you punch in the low end values, it gets even worse. So again, it's this clear 111 stat 6.7 range where it goes down to 1465 and 108 HP. You plug that in and you see it again. Oh my gosh. This trade is so bad. There is zero benefit to making this trade. It is absolutely the worst possible trade I could possibly imagine. Not only are you spending 1,000,000 Stardust, but you're also making already terrible Pokemon potentially much, much worse. It's so bad the way this was set up. I understand it was designed to keep people from just that have multiple accounts or that cheated or whatever, that have all these 100 IV Pokemon, to just dump them onto like one main account. So now they've got like all these 100 IV Pokemon. But this is laughably bad. This is bad stuff, you guys. So seriously, reconsider any trades that you've already been thinking about. I would hold off unless you absolutely do not care about IVs. So you might think, okay, well, these are just the tier 1, like you're a good friend, you just became friends with this person. So of course they're gonna de-incentivize that so that people that cheated and spoofed or botted or what have you can't just have all these Pokemon and trade them away and get a bunch of good stuff in return. But unfortunately, it does not get much better. So finally, let's take a look at this best friend level trade. So this is when you are fully leveled up in the friendship system. You've got all 4 hearts, and this is the cheapest and best possible trade scenario that you can get. Yikes, it is still not great. So again, we're looking at the Moltres. This is the 1744 Moltres. It's got a locked in HP of 110 this time. But again, this is a Moltres that has previously been traded in this system, because the highest possible IV that this thing has, since it's level 20, is a 51.1%. Yikes. So that is the top range that this thing starts at. And it goes all the way down to 1708 CP with the same 110 HP. That means when looking at it, the most likely scenario for what this is it's giving you a range from the 51% at the very highest that this is, all the way down to what only makes sense here is the 33.3%, because our basic trade stopped at 111 stats across the board. A tier 4 best friend trade can knock a Pokemon all the way down to 33% IVs. That means you can take 100% Pokemon, and when it gets traded to you, you could end up with a 33% Pokemon, taking 10 stat points away from attack, defense, and stamina respectively. That is abysmal, and the Articuno just reinforces this proof. So now when we look at the Articuno, again, this is an Articuno that has already been traded. So this is a 1536 with 110 HP, and it is between a 42% to a 35.6% Articuno. So it's already bad. And then when traded, it can fluctuate down to 1524 with 110 HP. So that knocks it again down to a 555 across the board. So it knocks it down to a 33.3%. I cannot believe this is what they've instituted for the trading system. You would think after you become great friends with somebody, it would lock it into, I was hoping it would be somewhere in the range, like if you have, for example, I'm on Team Mystic, so if I have something that is appraised as a wonder, that means it's at least an 82% Pokemon. So if it's a wonder, it can be anywhere from 82 to 100%. I figured if you were trading a Pokemon with a best friend, it would at least stay in that wonder range. Possibly even go up in IV. But according to these screenshots, that is absolutely not the case. You are able to go from a top tier Pokemon to a garbage tier Pokemon when trading. Guys, I just wanted to make this video and get the word out because I don't think anybody else has noticed or been talking about this yet. This is big news. I would absolutely not focus on, if you do not care about IVs, trade away. If you care about IVs at all, I would highly recommend staying away from trading for anything that is a decent IV, because more likely than not, the IV is just going to get worse. It actually does not get better. There seems to be no way to actually improve a Pokemon's IVs. They can only possibly get worse, or maybe if you're insanely lucky, they will stay the same at the best case scenario. But wow, guys, this was a lot to unpack. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I'm still excited about the whole friendship system and trading and everything else. I think this has been needed since the start of this game, so I'm happy that it's coming out. I'm just worried that people are going to underestimate exactly what's going on here, and a lot of people are going to be upset. So I wanted to get this info out there as quickly as possible, and I hope this helped you. If you guys found this interesting, please leave it a like. Consider subscribing to my channel. I make Pokemon Go content on the regular, and I just want to thank you guys again for watching this video. Share it. Share this video. This is important info that needs to get out there. All right, you guys. Until next time, I'm Loco Hondro, and I'll see you guys later. Peace, Poketrainer!